This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Morning Drive. We get this. Joey and 60,000 others were also shocked. Yeah.
I mean, it really did look like Coach McGuire was in disbelief.
Yeah,
I
I think that's a fair statement. I mean, kind of based on what he said after the game, and then based on what he said on Monday too.
Now, that being said, you can, as a head coach, you can only get away with that look so many times, right?
Yeah. Right. You can only say I was shocked at how we played so many times, right?
Yeah, because at a certain point, you're like, hey, you should have a feel for what's going on with your team. And I think Coach DeRuyter had the same vibe to him as well. Mm-hmm. And I think most of us would say we have a lot of confidence in Coach DeRuyter, and that's why I still have hope that this thing can get turned around and that you can be an 8 or 9 win team or whatever. That was just an anomaly. But again, what really scares me is I don't think you're ever going to be a team. I don't think you're going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback this year, and I don't think the secondary is going to be a strength by any stretch, and I think they'll be a lot better than they were. I do. I don't necessarily think that about the pass rush. So you combine those two things together, and I think if you're going to win, you're going to have to win a lot of high-scoring games this year.
It's almost like do you feel like you're putting your offense in a position where they have to come away with some kind of score almost every time they have the ball? Yeah,
we've been here before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Mm-hmm. We know what that looks like. We know how dangerous that is. Just in looking back at my notes from Saturday after the game, you know, the other thing that concerns you with what you just talked about with the defensive backs is, you know, Coach McGuire made the comment of never made him, Maverick McIver, go to a second or third read, it didn't seem like. So, I mean, he could kind of pick you apart and do what he needed to do. The other thing, and then going back to what you said about putting pressure on the quarterback, now that you've got, you know, 3 of your edge rushers, 2 are out for the year, and 1 is not going to be there this week. Your depth there is eroded to almost, I'm not going to say nothing because you still have them, but I mean, guys that you were really counting on that could really help you put pressure on the quarterback with experience and ability and all those things aren't available to you right now. So
all reasons why I don't think you're going to be strong in that area this year.
So that depth is gone there. So.
I would tell you, I guess it feels like to me that you're not going to dominate in the trenches this year on either side of the ball.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what it looks like. We get,
but again, I mean, it's just one game. It's just one game. But then again, it's one game against an FCS opponent. Okay. What do we say before these games, man? You can't really find anything out positive. If you're finding things out, it's usually negative, and I feel like that's where we are.
Yeah, and I'll be curious as to, you know, after the game and next Monday when Coach DeRuyter meets with the media and is probably asked about this, how much can you clean up the miscommunication between week 1 and week 2, and then if you're able to clean up a lot of that, how much better can that secondary play?
Mm-hmm. I think that the secondary will improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thoughts, comments. We get this. Everyone relax. We need time for the cake to bake. Put the Kool-Aid down. Lower expectations. We need to shoot for the middle of the pack and then come on strong in years 4 and 5. I don't know about. I think lowering expectations maybe is one thing, but to say, okay, here we are, week 1, we're going to shoot for the middle of the pack. I don't know that. It's not.
Oh, that's your predicted middle of the pack.
Yeah, or even, about middle of the pack. That's about right. And then come on strong in years 4 Years 4 and 5. Wow. Yeah.
I'm just saying you're predicted to finish middle of the pack this year.
Right. No, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, right. No, you're exactly right. 6:37 this morning here on the morning drive. Man, but on the positive side, if you want to think, okay, let's look at the glass half full for just a moment. How those receivers played and how those guys blocked for each other, and that's one of the things that was brought up yesterday by Dre McCray, was like how he was talking about the guys, especially on special teams, in his ability to run the ball back like he did, the blocking that he got ahead of him, and then pointing out the blocking of Caleb Douglas, among others. Man, that's the kind of stuff that we didn't get last year that we're getting this year. So remarkable improvement there.
Yeah, Douglas jumped off the page to me very early in the game as a physical receiver who was creating space for his teammates. So I was impressed and happy with that there. It felt like, I liked what Coach Dick Kitley did a few times where he was sending the tight end in motion. And so when you wanted to run one of those receiver screens, you had a big tight end out there. And we've got some big ones out there creating havoc rather than, Dre McCray trying to block somebody.
Sure.
We got somebody with some size and all that good stuff. So I thought that was a good little twist in the scheme that I didn't remember from a year ago. I thought that was big as well. But I thought the receivers were really good. I thought Aiken was good. I thought, again, I told you Josh Kelly, I think, is the most talented player on this team. That's a dude that can really play and do things with the ball in his hands, and he was a physical receiver as well. And then Caleb Douglas, maybe maybe overlooked one. He obviously catches the big touchdown late, but I thought he played well too.
But to miss him at Washington State,
didn't look like they missed him at all last week.
No, but maybe they played Portland State. No, you're right. It's fair, but they'd probably still love to have him.
I bet they would. Bet they would. And I bet they'll be motivated to slow him down.
Sure. And they're like, hey, we know how to kind of stop this guy.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
September 4th, 2024. Here's Jeff McGuire.
Going to start in 1922. Because official marathon runner of the morning drive,
Pavo Nurmi.
Pavo Nurmi runs a 2,000-meter world record in 5 minutes, 26.3 seconds in Tampere, Finland. 1941, New York Yankees clinch their third straight AL pennant, beats the Red Sox 6-3. It is the earliest date in baseball history a team has captured the flag.
They were really good.
1972, American swimmer Mike Burton, sets a world record 15:52.58 to win the 1,500-meter gold medal at the Munich Olympics. The current world record for the 1,500 is 14:30.67.
So about 30 seconds or so.
Well, you go 14:50 to 15:50 to 14:30, so almost a minute and a half.
Minute and a half, okay.
Well, a minute 20 seconds faster.
Yeah.
1985, New York Mets catcher Gary Carter hits 2 home runs in a 9-2 win in San Diego. Ties the Major League record for 5 home runs in 2 games. 1991, Major League Baseball Statistical Accuracy Committee votes to drop the asterisks next to Roger Maris's 1961 home run record of 61, passing Babe Ruth's 60, and determine an official no-hitter must go at least 9 innings.
And that's changed. You can have a 5.
Oh, yeah.
You can have a 5-inning no-hitter.
I'm glad it changed.
Yeah. You okay with taking the asterisk off of Roger Maris?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. 1,000,000%.
A season is a season.
Right, yeah. I got you. Right.
2002.
You seem a little disturbed with me over that. I just asked a question.
No, you did. It is ridiculous what baseball has done at times in their history to preserve their history because of the person involved with it. as opposed to acknowledging the accomplishments that have happened since then.
Yeah, I think that's somewhat fair.
2002, after blowing an 11-run lead to the Kansas City Royals, Scott Hattenberg's bottom of the ninth walk-off home run gives the Oakland Athletics a historic Major League Baseball victory, winning 12-11, and sets the American League record for a 20-game win streak.
The star of Moneyball.
And remember, they didn't have any pitchers on that team. None whatsoever.
Royals are reeling right now after one point in time leading the Central. Now they've lost 7 straight.
Ouch.
Yeah.
2012, in his Major League debut, former Red Raider A.J. Ramos pitches a perfect 9th inning, getting his first strikeout in a Marlins 8-4 loss to the Brewers. And I need us to take a vote after this one.
Okay.
Because I don't know if this should continue to be on the list or not. But I'm going to let you guys and our audience decide. 2021. Tyler Shuck accounted for 2 touchdowns. Taj Brooks rushed for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Texas Tech beat Houston 38-21 in the season opener. Do we want to continue discussing that former quarterback?
I'm fine with it. I mean, the Red Raiders won, so we're happy.
Well, yeah, we're never going to talk about a loss. Yeah.
And Taj Brooks had a good day. Team had a good day.
I think there's something today we can all be a fan of. I mean, no matter what it is extra dessert day.
Extra dessert. When's the last time you had extra dessert?
Monday.
Monday? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have 2 cookies instead of 1? That would be your extra dessert.
Well, see, usually like in your lunch, when I was growing up, you got 3 cookies in your lunch. So I didn't really consider that extra dessert. That was just normal.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of depends who you are, I guess.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Right.
Just how big were the cookies?
No,
I mean, there's a million things to.
Well, if it's an Oreo or no matter what, or just
if it's an Oreo, it feels like 3 is a legitimate number. I mean, if it's
so, if you had 4, that would be the extra dessert.
That would be the extra dessert.
A big chocolate chip cookie, and you were eating 3 of those.
Yeah, right.
I would say, man,
Sure.
it's probably not conducive to you being skinny at any point.
Right.
Oh, no, this isn't about being skinny. This is about the extra dessert. Happy birthday, Damon Wayans is 64. Mike Piazza, 56. And Terrence Newman is 46. And on this day in 1951, President Harry S. Truman opened his speech before a conference in San Francisco in broadcasting across the nation, marking the first time a television program was broadcast from coast to coast. The speech focused on Truman's acceptance of the treaty that officially ended America's post-World War II occupation of Japan. And that is this day in sports history.
This day in sports history, 6:51 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Some thoughts here from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Some question if ACU had our defensive signals. No progressions from quarterback, never before had such a game. Looked like he knew what was coming. Coach McGuire was asked that question on Monday, and he waved it off. I mean, they're not going to use that excuse as a reason why the quarterback picked our secondary apart or team apart. But there seemed to have been a question about that. Jeff, did you got the same take on that too, right?
Yeah, I also don't think that they stole your signals. I think you just played like doggy doo-doo.
I also think if I was a coach, that is the last excuse I would rather tell them they were just better than us. Mm-hmm. They outcoached us. To admit that somebody else had your signs, I mean, that would be embarrassing to me.
Yeah, I would.
That would be like we're not doing our due diligence and we're not creative enough to make sure that they don't know what we're doing. Mm-hmm. You know, to me, that would be the last excuse I would go to.
Sure, right. I mean, we've had a coach give another team our signs before, but a former coach. That seemed like a long time ago. Juan says this, I really hope we don't have a defense full of players that practice well, but when the lights turn on, they crumble. I'm hoping maybe it was first game jitters of the players looking past ACU. Just the gist that I got from Monday specifically, and maybe a little bit Saturday after the game, was more first game jitters. I didn't get the impression that they felt like their players looked past ACU. I think the thing that you heard, and again, it's kind of like, hey, they had our signs. The last thing you want to say is blame it on the fact that it was their first game, but you had 6 or 7 guys in the starting lineup, more on defense than on offense, that was their first time, and they turned the lights on and had 60,000 people there, and I think they were acknowledging that the adrenaline got ahead of them a little bit and reverted back to some bad habits. Is that the reason for all of it? Did they use that as a big excuse? No, they did not.
If I was a coach, I would never want to admit that we overlooked them.
No.
Our guys overlooked them.
No, I don't.
And also, I think that would be disrespectful to the team who just beat you or almost beat you to say, oh, yeah, we didn't really prepare for them.
Right.
It's your job as a coach to prepare a team. It's your job as a coach to make sure your team is not overlooking them. Sometimes it's more difficult than others, and some players it's easier to get done than others. There's no question. But anyway, I just feel like if I were a coach, that I would not lean towards admitting that.
No, and I never got that.
Plus, you don't want to be that guy that says, "Oh, it wasn't about the other team beating us; it was about us beating ourselves." I mean, that's not giving them any respect.
No, I didn't get that impression at all that they felt like that they had, quote, looked past ACU or anything along those lines. Those kinds of excuses weren't used, at least after the game Saturday or certainly on Monday either.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Thank you for being with us today on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Couple things here from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. One is this. Gents, do you want to do over with Joey McGuire? His ceiling is 7 wins. He's barely above mediocre. Joey promised gold and gave us coal. It's time for a change. You're crazy. Oh man, I think you look at this and go, well, prior to Joey McGuire getting here, you hadn't had a winning record in the Big 12 since 2009. You'd gone through a couple of coaches plus an interim. So I think you're making progress. I think you've got a lot to look at here. I mean, there's just you want to see continued progress. I mean, to me, progress this year is winning at least 8 games in the regular season. That's continued progress. But also you have at least consistency of getting 7 wins under your belt and winning more than you've lost in the Big 12. Would you like more? Yeah, and I think this year you have high expectations. I think you still should have some high expectations, but I think you what we saw on the field Saturday raises high levels of concern for the rest of this year too.
Yeah, I can't laugh at the comment. I am not at a point where I want to do over with Joey McGuire. I still believe that I feel like Coach McGuire and his staff deserve more time in this. I'm disappointed that the last 2 years have started the way that they have started.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get you on there.
Even the way, Saturday was a win, but it sure didn't feel like it.
No.
I do think it's time where, and to say that he's barely above mediocre is not it's a mean comment, but it's not inaccurate. If we're calling mediocre 6 and 6, it's inaccurate, and the frustration is that, it feels like you've had the talent to be barely above mediocre, and so I do not want to do over. I'm still on board with Joey McGuire and his staff. I love what Coach DeRuyter has done in the past. With Coach McGuire, I think it's been a little bit up and down with Coach Kitley. I really liked his game plan on Saturday night, so I'm hoping that we're seeing some progression there. But I feel like I'm still on board with this staff, but it hasn't, like, it didn't just blow you away, right? I mean, Saturday night blew you away in the wrong direction.
Sure did.
But anybody that's questioning it, I think it's fair. Anybody that says that no way, he's the right guy, guaranteed we're going to the top, I think you're a bit off your rocker. Anybody that says no way, I think this guy is a buffoon and can't coach, there's no way we should stick with him, I also think you're off your rocker. Okay? So I'm definitely in the middle there. And I still have faith in this coaching staff and
high hopes
and all that. But man, it's, and here's the thing. And I know that this is something that I've mentioned a few times before. Okay. This is not like a situation, right? And I get that the schools in the Big 12 aren't making the money that the schools in the SEC are making, okay? And so I'm not comparing you to the schools in the SEC, okay? I'm not. Just take them out of the mix, okay? But you financially are doing everything that this program needs to be competing for Big 12 championships, right? When that comes to facilities and when that comes to NIL money. Right? We're all super proud of how much money we spend on NIL. Okay? Well, you're getting the support you need to be at the top of this conference. Sooner or later, you got to get to the top of this conference, or at least somewhere close.
Yeah,
and not be
third.
Hanging around about 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're talking about 8 or 9 in rank, not necessarily 8 or 9 wins.
Yes, I'm talking about 8 or 9 picked to be in the middle of the Big 12 conference. Okay? I mean, you were picked a lot higher last year. Okay? So I don't want this coaching staff out. I think I still have faith and belief. I will tell you that took a little bit of a hit Saturday night. Yeah. Because we weren't ready to play.
Yeah. You took a shot.
We got
to
out
the
coached.
face.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm nowhere near bailing yet. And I'm nowhere near saying guaranteed this guy's the home run, this staff's the home run. Okay, I mean, you have to do a little bit more than 7-5 a couple years in a row to guarantee that. But I don't know. Nobody wants to hear me tell you to be patient. I think you're kind of past the point of be patient. I mean, I think that we're this far into it. We should be allowed to have higher expectations.
Well, I mean, he said himself, we expect to win, and our fans should expect us to win. I mean,
and this
I think they
schedule
understand that.
is so beneficial for the Red Raiders this year.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this.
You just have to remember, it's one game.
Right.
It's one game, and you found a way to win it. If you're having these same feelings at about week 6, when we all thought you could be 5-1 or 6-0, if you're still having these same feelings, if we're 3-3, man, it's a different deal.
Okay.
It's a different deal.
What if let's just say they go to Wazoo on Saturday and they win the ball game, and I mean, it's not necessarily an ugly win, but they go win the ball game. Not that that's going to flip the script for everybody, but that's certainly a step in the right direction. Because what if you are 5-1 or 6-0 after 6 games?
See, and the problem with Jamie Lent is Jamie Lent can't forget ACU. Okay, because Jamie Lent, if you go there and win, I'm going to be thrilled that you won, and I'm going to be saying, what happened a week ago? Why did we not show up for that game?
How do you? And maybe you don't, because see, I'm oppo of that. I'm sometimes guilty of having amnesia maybe a little too soon, but that's just my mindset, because I think you get the result, or you you got to move on. And
that's fair. That's fair.
And then you have,
I wish I was like you.
Maybe that part of me. There's some parts of you that I wish I was better at, but I do think that you do kind of have to leave the past in the past, and you can't go back to.
Yeah, but you can't act like it doesn't happen.
No, I know. There's a balancing act.
You can't just say at the end of the season, go, hey, we won 7 games.
Yeah, but what
you have to admit you lost 5 also.
But if you so let's just say this. Let's say you go win 9 games now. You're not going to go back to week 1 and go.
No,
hey.
I'm not. If we win 9 games, I'm going to be incredibly thrilled and incredibly surprised.
Would you say the same thing about 8?
I would tell you I will be surprised if we get to 8 wins.
If you get to 8
year.
wins, okay.
Yes.
I mean, kind of based on the hand that you have right now, and again, you kind of look at some injuries that you have, whether it's Braylon Lux and is he available this week, or the 2 edge rushers that you've lost for the season, and a third one that's on the shelf for this week, and then so you don't have the full deck that you thought you were going to have, and we're only in week 1. So that makes it a little bit problematic. And then, what's the status for Taj Brooks? They're going to travel 4 running backs to the ball game, and Taj Brooks is truly going to be a game time decision with that arm injury.
If you get to 8 or 9 wins this year, I'll think that Joey McGuire and his staff did a terrific job. Okay, and it'll be more towards me thinking this is the right crew, where I'm still at now. But I don't know, after that performance on Saturday, I don't know how you can't have some doubts.
No, it's concerning. There's no question. It's concerning. Jamie's question of the day is next.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3, presented today by someone not named Jamie, is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, guys. We're going to take a step off of the Red Raider football train for just a few minutes because the NFL season gets kicked off tomorrow,
right?
But for the rest of the league, it gets kicked off on Sunday. And in 2019, the Washington Commanders won 3 games. In 2020, they won the division. In 2020, the Bengals won 4 games. They won the division in 2021. The Jags in 2021 won 3 games. They won the division in 2022. And last year, 2022, the Texans won 3 games and won their division last year and made the playoffs. It's not every year that a last-place team in their division wins the division the next year, but it happens quite a lot in the NFL. Some of that is for how the schedules are made. You get better draft picks when you're bad. Lots of things go in this to add parity to the league. So I want you to look at the 2023 standings at the end of the season, and I want all of us to call our shot for the team that finished last in their division that is going to win their division this year. Now, I'm taking one of them off the board.
It's not fair.
I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals off the board. They won 9 games last year. It's not in the spirit of finishing last. If they had been in almost in any other division in football, they'd have made the playoffs last year. So they're the only one I'm taking off the board.
They wouldn't have won their division.
At 9 wins?
They wouldn't have won any other division at 9 wins.
Well, they would have made the playoffs in almost any other division. Like, if they'd been in the AFC, they'd have made the playoffs.
How is it that your team gets to play in a division where nobody is above 500 but you?
Well, you beat those teams twice a lot of times,
That does help.
I mean, that is the Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers. That's a murder row last year.
Plenty of times that those teams have been good, especially the Broncos, but not lately. And the Raiders, not lately. And the Chargers, not likely. Although they got a coach now.
I did think the Bengals would have been the good choice there, Jeff. So that was sneaky that you took that off the board right before.
I mean, they won 9 games last year. They were on the cusp of making it last year as a 4th place team. There were 2 wild cards out of their division.
Okay, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Look, to me, I think the Chargers are going to be better than 5 wins, but I don't think they're going to win the division. There's just too much Kansas City there, and I think Tennessee is going to be better than their 6 wins, but it appears that there's just too much Houston Texans, and they got a lot of momentum rolling there,
and a lot of young talent.
And I just don't think the Patriots can overcome the Bills or the Dolphins. I think the Bills, I think that window is still open for them to make deep playoff runs, and who knows, maybe get to a Super Bowl. I think the Jets are going to be worse than 7-10, even with Aaron Rodgers. In the NFC East, I fail to think that either the Cowboys or the Eagles will win the division. 49ers or the Rams are going to win the West. It's not going to be the Cardinals. I'm going to say the only team that I could see doing this would be the Carolina Panthers, and they went 2-15.
Whoa!
I'm going to say the Carolina Panthers because I think the Bucks, the Saints, the Falcons are all suspect at quarterback. They don't have a dominant quarterback, and I think Carolina would be my choice.
That's a jump.
Well, you asked
right.
You asked who was in last, and you took Cincinnati off the board.
You are asking the question.
All right,
You
I'm
answered the
going
question.
NFC East. I'm taking the Commanders. I think the Commanders are going to be much better. I think the Cowboys and the Eagles are going to move back to the pack. And I think the Giants are pathetic offensively. I expect a big jump for the Commanders this year, so I'm going to say that they're going to shock the world and win the NFC East.
Okay.
And it would continue the streak of having a different winner in the NFC East every single season.
There you go.
That's a hard one, Jeff. I don't think any of it's likely. I love that Chuck went to the Super Bowl one with the only 2-win team. Maybe the easy one would have been maybe we should have gone Vikings or Bears.
See, I went with the Bears. I'm going with the Bears for mine.
Okay.
I do think they finally got a quarterback, and that makes a massive difference for every team in the NFL if you've got a quarterback. Now, we're about to find out if they really did or not, and it's Chicago, so the chances of them actually getting a quarterback and getting it right, we have a better, like the three of us, have a better chance of walking on the moon than the Bears do of getting a quarterback right. But it could happen.
Yeah.
And if they do, I think that's a very winnable division for them if they can get up there with the Lions.
I trust Jim Harbaugh a lot, but I mean, I'm with Chuck. There's just Kansas City's in that division, so nobody's winning anything.
Right now, it's just too much them.
Yeah, and so Titans in that division, maybe it just the Texans look really good, but who knows with the characters or lack thereof character that the Texans have brought in, that thing might just explode halfway through the season. I'm here for it, and I'll have my popcorn ready. But you just never know there. But yeah, that's a tough one.
It might not happen. It doesn't happen every year.
I wouldn't guess
but it
it'll
happens
happen.
a lot. It does happen a lot.
I would say there's like a 5% chance of one of those teams rising up.
Yeah, well, and you're probably right about the Bears, but man, they've just been so inconsistent.
Oh, sure. There's a reason they've been near the bottom of their division every year.
Yeah, they keep choosing the wrong door when it comes to quarterback. So we'll see if they've got the. So I guess of the three, Carolina would be the most shocking to win a division.
But that's why I liked your choice, because it would be because they were the worst team in football last year.
Right, go from worst to first.
And I don't think anybody felt great about their young quarterback.
No, probably not.
I mean, I'm picking a team that won 4 games, and they've got a rookie quarterback. So, I mean, I think we're both just jumped off the deep end there, Heinz.
Well, probably so.
Yeah.
Won't be the first time I've jumped off a deep end.
Well, the question itself leads to jumping off of the deep end.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
we'll see how this goes at the end.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey, good morning. It is the Morning Drive on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Thanks for being with us today on the Morning Drive. Look forward to hearing from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line, Visual Edge IT hotline as well. We come to you from the First United Bank studio. Hour from now, it's the end of the bench on 100.7 The Score. Don't forget Bottom Line at high noon today, and then Tech Talk right back here on Double T 97.3 this afternoon from 3 until 6:30. And then The Rangers and the Yankees conclude their series, and then the Rangers head out to take on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim from the Big A there in Anaheim. Let's see. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. It's safe to say that the, quote, fans that are still crying about Saturday need to get a life. Okay. We get this. I'm with Jamie. I'm still with Joey and staff, but what I saw Saturday took a hit. Honestly, we don't even know if this GM style of recruiting will have any success. They are focused on measurables, but to be honest, I want football players. That from South Texas Ambassador Preston.
I have a hard time believing all of that, considering that you looked small on the offensive and defensive line. That doesn't seem like you're recruiting measurables.
Yeah. If Washington State beats Tech with an ugly stick, then it will be able to be hard to survive in year 3. Faith is for the Bible. Football is about results. And then I guess you could also add in hope is not a strategy. Kind of a three-legged stool there.
Yeah, that's fair.
I guess. Okay.
That's fair.
Okay.
Let's hope they don't beat them with an ugly stick. That's a term I haven't heard in a long time.
Right. Yeah. Me neither. I don't. Just, a win would be great. Just, I don't care how about whatever.
I was always a bigger fan of that guy fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. That was one my dad used to use.
Well, I mean, it's been a while since I've fallen out of a tree, but I think that I could be accused of that too.
Oh man,
from time to time.
Yeah, I just they're, it's all in who you want to be, right? I mean, if you want to be the eternal optimist, you're allowed to be that way. If you want to be the eternal pessimist, you're allowed to be that way. I think some people think I'm the eternal, negative guy, and I'm not. And
I think you're a realist.
I claim to be a realist, and I'm somewhere in the middle of, pessimist and optimist right now. And that I do think there's a little bit of, the first game of the season, there's always crazy things that go on, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And yes, you're allowed to get better, but it's hard for me to believe that you're ever going to be, again, great getting after the quarterback or defending the pass this year. It's hard for me to, because that was really, really bad. You gave up over 500 yards passing to an FCS team.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
500 yards to an FCS team. Okay, that's hard for me to think that at any point during this season we're going to be like, hey, man, yeah, we got it shut down when it comes to defending the pass, right? And so it was a realization on Saturday that, like...
it was 615 yards in total offense.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
It was a realization on Saturday that all the high hopes and expectations and, hey, this is going to be super fun, is going to be, because there have been years in, over the last 15 or so where we're like, man, how many people have said it? Can we just get to basketball season? When does basketball start? And I hate that feeling, right? I hate it. We get so excited for a sport to come around, and then 2 weeks in, you're like, man, when does this get over with? On to the next sport. We just give up and move on. I hate that feeling. And so I want this to be fun. I want us to be in the conversation of, with a few weeks left in the season. Hey, do they have a shot to get to a Big 12 title game? And I want us to shut Dion up, and I want us to hand TCU another loss. And it's
take care of Baylor.
You're just sitting there on Saturday night going, man, are we going to be the one that we're the one taking it on the chin for these games? Am I going to have to sit here and watch Dion and his posse do what they do? I mean, good gosh, I don't know if I can handle all that.
See, I didn't think about any of that during the ball game. I was just caught up in the moment. I was just in the moment.
Yeah, and I was not. Yeah. I was looking big picture.
I understand.
I'm like, oh my goodness, this could be a miserable 3 or 4 months. Okay, Now, again, we're allowed to get better.
Yeah.
Okay, you're allowed to improve. And yes, week one sometimes is crazy. And so that's why I've not jumped off the bandwagon or jumped off any ships or
Right.
I'm just not jumping. My knee's not really good right now, so I'll just refrain from jumping. So
I was worried about. I was trying to get some popcorn, and the line was kind of long there. And then the drone show happened. I was like focused on that, and then all the other stuff that was going on. I was intrigued by the scoreboards and the game going on too. But I wasn't
the game going on too.
I wasn't worried about next week against Washington State, or I wasn't thinking down the line going, well, how's this going to play? I was just worried about, hey, just getting through that game. And
that's what we needed our coaches and players to be doing.
And I think they did that. I think they did that. I think they figured out how to win a ball game. I mean, it could have been worse.
So somebody says on the chat line, so we were blaming Matt Wells? Really? When did Matt Wells get brought up?
Not at all. I think
somebody on the chat line said, man, I forgot how bad Matt Wells' recruiting was.
Yeah, somebody says, cry me a river. Let the coaches coach and be a fan. Okay. I've not offered any suggestions to the coaches. I've also not asked for any coaches to be let go.
No.
Let go.
Let go. No. Right?
Yeah.
No. Huh. Yeah.
So I'm letting them coach. I'm allowing them to improve.
Yeah, right.
Because
I thought how they.
I would like for you to coach a lot better than you did last Saturday.
Well, the players have to execute too at some point in time.
No question.
You can pin all this on coaching and whatnot, but at some point in time, the players have to take the coaching.
Well, I'm sorry. When I see an entire defensive backfield look completely confused, it's hard to say that's a player thing.
Okay, all right. For whatever reason, maybe we were speaking Greek to them, and they thought, "Hey, this is supposed to be in Spanish."
Well, maybe coaches should know not to speak in Greek.
Maybe so. My bad. The Rangers and the Angels are in Arlington, so Bullfighter was about to get on a flight to Los Angeles.
Oh, good thing he didn't.
Because he's got tickets.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.